Hello and welcome to this introduction to the brand bank. So let me just expand the file and you'll see that the brand bank really is a place where you can keep all the assets that you collect that create your brand. And where I would start is with your brand message. These areas here, your value statement, your mission statement, your values, your why, how, and what, are really essential to determining not only what your brand looks like, but how it feels. As an interior designer, we actually are our brand. And this goes way beyond, our visuals. And as you can see, there are lots of aspects. So in each card, I've given you a few resources that can help you write your value statement, for example. And if you click on each of these cards, there is a guide, and you can see that they're scattered around. Now, in addition, there's also spaces where you can actually keep the resources that you need. For example, in the fonts area, you can keep your font file. You can keep links to your coolers page or your palette or images. And so you can easily access them to copy and paste into areas where you might need a particular hex code. Then you have areas where you can store your brand voice, and you can make sure that you have really developed this as really part of your brand. So I've also created, and one of the reasons why I call it a bank is you have things like your content pillars. So in my content pillars areas, I've actually created a database, and that database actually includes things like my linking to my keywords database, to what areas, research areas that I have. So I've got a link to my knowledge bank. So you can set it up any way that you would like, but it is a way that you can come to when you're writing some content, that you could just put it there and you can refer to it. So I also have a keyword database and a hashtag database. So it just makes it super easily accessible, and there is a place for it. So I'll keep my story banks here. If I find quote banks, if I find quotes that I like, any inspirational things that I want to keep, we can actually keep those things and link it to our content pillars, which we talked about here. So essentially, you can see there's actually quite a number of places that you can use for storage. I even keep my website copy in here, so I have a backup. If I'm writing sales pages, I have some information about it. So let's say you read a great article on writing a sales page, you can certainly store that here. And finally, I keep my social media and so on. Now, one last thing, I actually do have a swipe file. So when I come across things that I like, I have a place to store them. And when I'm writing, for example, a social post, and I've come across something that I like, I can store it here. But of course, we only use those for inspiration, and we can come to them when we're writing a particular we're writing a particular post that we would like. But of course, we don't copy, so it's a little bit of an art to doing that. So just remember that when you're saving things in your swipe file, that you really are using them as inspiration rather than, directly taking those ideas and translating them to your own. But I have things like, words and phrases that I use, places where I keep my brand story, for example. So things like my origin story, my story, and also things that are like my elevator pitch. And I'm going to actually add a new one in here before I send that off, and it's called my SIP pitch. And this is just a really, really quick one-line description of who I am and what I do in the time that it takes to take a sip of a drink if you're in a cocktail party. So I hope you enjoy it and I hope you use it. I find it super useful. I open it every day. So all you have to do is duplicate the pages and the database and integrate it straight into your workspace. See you in the next freebie that I'll have.